Hey guys, it is Julie here with JT.Wealth. Today we have a hot topic, and that is the Workhorse Group. So let's get into it. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here today. Today we have a really exciting topic that has been getting a lot of attention lately, and that is this EV company, Workhorse. So we're going to go over quickly what this company does, why it's been blowing up so much lately, and why a related company is helping it draw attention too. We're then going to go over some of the big opportunities that this represents, but also warn you over some of the risks too. So make sure you stay till the end to hear all of those. As always, please remember to hit that like button for us and make sure you subscribe. This helps us grow the channel. Also, make sure that you stay up to date with all of our latest videos too. We're almost at 500 subscribers. Really excited to hit that milestone, so please make sure you subscribe. Okay, so now, who is Workhorse and what do they do? Workhorse is an electric vehicle company that is specializing in last mile delivery trucks. So think of every time that you've done some online shopping, whether it's Amazon or whatever, and that little truck shows up to your house with your package, whether FedEx or UPS. These are those last mile delivery trucks. So they're also working on delivery drones, plus their technology for tracking and monitoring these vehicles as well. You can see here some of the fairly large companies that they're already working with to start switching their fleet over to these more environmentally friendly vehicles. Here is one of their trucks that they've actually designed with the help of UPS. It does get 100 miles per charge, which doesn't seem like much, but you have to consider that these delivery trucks are really stop and go, just going from house to house. When you compare it to the current gas mileage of just 75 to 80 miles per tank currently on FedEx trucks, it is actually quite impressive for an electric vehicle to be getting that 100 miles per charge. You can see here that there are about 350,000 last mile delivery trucks purchased each year just in the US alone. So this is an $18 billion industry that Workhorse is getting into. And the EV section of this is really just starting to take off. We're seeing a lot of news on EV vehicles lately, and this market is really starting to boom. California just passed a law that they are moving towards all zero emission trucks by 2045. So this is a sector in which demand is not going to decrease anytime soon. So why is Workhorse getting so much attention lately? There's been a lot of excitement in the EV industry as a whole. Companies like Tesla, Hyliion, and Nikola have been in the headlines so much, and their prices are just soaring. This is garnering a lot of attention for the EV sector, and that's also helping increase the buzz for Workhorse. But also in the news, it is well known that the USPS has a $6 billion contract up for bid, and Workhorse is one of 4 companies that has submitted a bid that just closed on July 14th. Another item causing stir around Workhorse is that a company their former CEO started and that Workhorse owns 10% of just purchased an old GM plant in Ohio last year. So this company is Lordstown Motors, and they bought the intellectual properties to an EV pickup truck from Workhorse, and they plan to have this truck on the road by next year. So what does all of this news equate to as an opportunity for the Workhorse stock? Okay, so let's start with this $6.3 billion USPS contract. As I mentioned before, Workhorse is one of 4 companies that submitted final bids this week. If they win this contract with USPS, they would be looking at a potential order of 200,000 new mail trucks. That's huge. At 1 in 4, it seems that they would have a 25% chance at winning this bid, but there may be some major influences that are helping tip the scale. Okay, now stick with me here, guys, because this does get a little convoluted. All right, we can see back in May, President Trump threw his support via tweet behind GM Motors selling its factory to Workhorse. This is before their CEO split off and created Lordstown Motors. This was likely in hopes of bringing jobs back to Lordstown, Ohio, since many had been lost when the GM plant shut down. Now, it stands to reason that Workhorse will contract Lordstown Motors to help produce all of these EV trucks if they win this massive USPS contract. Now, let's take into consideration that the contract is with USPS, and the new head of USPS is a massive, huge Trump and Republican donor. He was in charge of fundraising for the 2020 Republican National Convention. Now, with Trump being up for election here in 2020, he's needing to secure votes in Ohio. So it wouldn't be a far stretch now to assume that this Postmaster General of the USPS would grant the contract to Workhorse so that the sale of the Lordstown GM plan wasn't for nothing and to continue to support that Republican agenda. Now, that whole situation gets a lot worse, but we're not getting into that. Now, outside of this USPS contract, Workhorse stands to make a good bit from its relations to Lordstown Motors as well. As we mentioned before, Workhorse sold the intellectual property of its EV pickup truck to Lordstown Motors. This came along with 6,000 pre-orders for this pickup truck. So not only does Workhorse own 10% of Lordstown Motors, they're going to get a 1% commission on each of the first 200,000 trucks sold by Lordstown Motors, as well as 1% of any debt or equity financing that the new startup comes up with. So given all this information that we've discussed, it's easy to see why people are so excited about the potential massive upside of Workhorse. And honestly, there is a lot of potential upside if they get this USPS contract. It could still be up to 90 days until USPS announces their decision. So that still stands as a big if. And this is where my warnings begin. If Workhorse is not awarded this USPS contract, they could be in trouble. Their financial statements have historically not inspired much confidence. You can see here on this chart that their earnings and revenues for the last year have been quite negative. So moving forward, is the demand for their EV delivery trucks going to earn them a sufficient amount, or are they going to be relying on their commission income from Lordstown Motor sales? You can also see here on this Zacks report card that they have now moved their rating to a sell. They have their value rated an F and are basically down below saying that the Workhorse Group may be overvalued. Also, in June this year, Workhorse did secure $70 million in financing, furthering their company's debts. Now, if they can use this debt to really start turning out a profit on their delivery truck manufacturing, that will work out okay, but that still remains to be seen. So all in all, guys, this is definitely one of those big risk, possibly big return plays. It's really teetering on that USPS contract. I would certainly not recommend making this a large portion of your portfolio, but let me know your thoughts. Have you bought shares of this? Do you think without the USPS contract, it's still a good buy? And what do you think the chances of them getting that contract are? Please let me know in the comments below. Remember to subscribe, please give us a like, let us know how you think we're doing, and have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend. Thanks.